Tonight on Q2, living through an unimaginable crime.
A Montana woman on a tropical vacation is kidnapped and raped. Now she's raising the alarm after finding no help at home.
I've had a pretty difficult time finding resources. No one really knows what to say. I don't know anyone who has gone through something like this.
Plus, surviving a close call.
At the corner of my left eye, I realized I could see a car come towards me.
We'll hear from a motor carrier officer as a car that lost control nearly strikes him at a crash scene.
And staying warm. Students at St. Francis join forces to help the tiniest of hospital patients. We'll show you how.
The MTN 530 news starts right now.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
Well, good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Russ Riesinger.
And I'm Andrea Lutz. It's a dream trip that turned into a nightmare. A Montana woman is speaking out tonight after she was drugged, kidnapped, and raped while traveling with friends.
Now she's recovering in California and she's opening up about her story of survival and the difficult road to healing here in our state, where she says the right mental health resources are hard to find. MTN's Marcus Kakova brings us her story.
It happened in late February. Billings stepmom Christina Gibson got the call she says many think only happens in a movie.
It was incredibly emotional at that time, and trying to process it, it was not something you would ever expect.
Her 27-year-old stepdaughter, Taylor Gibson, had been kidnapped while in Costa Rica.
There was definitely police involvement with this. The embassy was involved in this as well.
Today, Taylor's recovering in California after being found by friends and girlfriend.
They took a day to go surfing. I was a little bit tired and decided I'm going to take a day to myself. During that time, I was drugged, kidnapped, sexually assaulted, and we believe with the intention of trafficking.
She had eventually made it back home to Montana, but getting there was just the beginning.
Just going back to my house in Bozeman and going back into work and, talking to people and acting like it didn't happen is just not an option.
Taylor sought care to heal from an experience she once considered unthinkable, but says nothing seemed like an appropriate match.
I've had a pretty difficult time finding resources to receive trauma therapy in the state of Montana that goes beyond just calling a simple hotline or, weekly therapy sessions. I needed to be surrounded by all women who I can relate to.
So now she's in California, but there's one major problem.
The insurance company unfortunately denied my request, even after hearing my story, to cover anything outside of the state of Montana.
An all too familiar story for Christina, who works at Billings Clinic.
It is definitely something we see with our patients too when it comes to insurance and everything too, and we do see those difficulties.
But Montana stood behind Taylor on her road to recovery, making that road $25,000 shorter, covering the cost of care, and helping her take her first steps forward.
You stand by women. We are here to empower one another, and we believe survivors. We are so blessed, and people have definitely come through for us.
Marcus Kakova, MTN News.
Montana legislators halted movement on a property tax bill that has loud support from Governor Greg Gianforte. As of now, a hearing for the homestead rate cut bill hasn't been scheduled. The proposal would lower property taxes for Montana homeowners by 15%, small businesses by 18%. However, if you remember, I found out in late March that many Billings leaders were concerned the bill would end up hurting the Magic City. They said House Bill 231 would actually result in the city losing $6.5 million in property tax revenues, meaning cuts to critical police and fire positions.
That's almost $2.4 million in the police department, about $2 million in the fire department, so it's 18 to 20 firefighters.
Despite the bill being tabled, Gianforte defended his tax relief proposal, saying action must be taken to help all Montanans.
Montanans set us here to act, to get the job done, and we must. I remain committed to cutting taxes for Montanans at every income level, leaving them more of their hard-earned money, especially as they navigate our nation's affordability crisis.
The governor's budget proposal includes the largest income tax cut in state history, reducing the rate for Montanans from 5.9% to 4.9%.
Motivated by the death of a young man from the Flathead, a bill looking to change Montana's drunk driving laws is expected to pass the legislature. Bobby's law passed the House and is on track to do the same in the Senate. That measure seeks to create harsher punishments for drunk driving by establishing the crime as aggravated vehicular homicide for drivers accused of causing deadly crashes with high blood alcohol levels. It would also impose a 3-year minimum sentence. The law is named after Bobby Dubray, who was killed by a drunk driver while crossing the street on his 21st birthday, getting into a sober ride home.
Tonight, we're hearing from the motor carrier officer who was nearly hit while attending to a car in the ditch last week.
Yeah, this is video from that scene, and you can see that car comes sliding off the road, barreling eerily close to the officer.
Tonight in our interview that you'll only see on Q2, our Charlie Kleps shares his story and his message to drivers everywhere.
That close call happened here near Pompey's Pillar on Interstate 94 and is unfortunately just part of the job for Montana Department of Transportation employees.
This job, there's a lot of potential risks.
If there's one thing Justin Moran has gotten used to during his 8 years as an MCS patrol officer, it's cars traveling fast down the interstate.
When vehicles pass you at 80 miles an hour, 3 feet away from you, you kind of get numb to it.
Well, it's a work environment most of us can't relate to.
You know, not all the time that everybody moves over for you.
That doesn't mean Moran isn't constantly aware of his surroundings.
Things can happen fast.
And they certainly did last week when this happened.
At the corner of my left eye, I realized I could see a car come towards me.
As you can see in this video captured by Moran's dash cam, a car loses traction on I-94 and slides off the road, missing Moran by just 15 feet.
You know, it's a situation that it happens very fast.
And it's a situation that happens far more often than most of us realize.
You know, over the last year and a half, we've had a couple of officers hit on traffic stops.
MCS Administrator Eric Belford has been there himself.
There's just so many things out there that we have to be aware of.
He survived several close calls, including one even closer than this.
Actually got nicked on the shoulder by a mirror on a U-Haul.
Circumstances Belford says can be made worse with fast-changing road conditions.
We have to be prepared this time of year for things to change like that.
And that's why both Belford and Moran are encouraging drivers to take it slow, knowing how much worse this scary situation could have ended.
Always remember to slow down. If you do see lights on the road, move over.
Just want to see people take their time and get where they need to be safely.
Near Pompey's Pillar, Charlie Kleps, MTN News.
Billings Fire Chief Pepper Valdez announced he is stepping down from his position. He's been at the helm for 4 years and accepted an offer to serve as chief for Mountain View Fire and Rescue in Longmont, Colorado, near Denver. Valdez started his career in Billings as an EMT and paramedic before joining the fire department in 1999. The department is coming off a very busy year, responding to more than 19,000 calls. It's an increase of nearly 600 calls from the year before. Valdez will stay with the department until the end of the month.
We had some pleasant weather around Wyoming and Montana on this Thursday. Some high, thin clouds now in our sky. We had plenty of blue this morning, but even those high clouds did not keep us from being much warmer than average this afternoon. For the Billings area specifically, look at this, 69 degrees for a high, 14 degrees warmer than average after a fairly seasonable low of 35. But this is also nice to see. Top wind gust only 17 miles an hour, much better than 48 miles an hour like it was yesterday. But I'm keeping my eyes on some other changes. With still those high clouds overhead, so not too cold overnight tonight. There'll be more clouds tomorrow, but close to record-breaking warmth in a few locations. Enjoy it now because big changes are coming. Your forecast coming up.
Students at St. Francis Catholic School ditched pencils and paper today for scissors and fleece, all to help babies and children in the greater Billings community. This school project all started when 8th graders Morgan Appelt and Jane Russell decided to make 14 blankets to donate to babies in the NICU. Now, with help from their peers and more than $650 of fundraising from First Presbyterian Billings, that number has grown to more than 200 blankets. Those blankets will be donated to Child Protective Services as well as the NICUs and pediatric wings at Billings Clinic and St. Vincent Regional Hospital. Well, it's hard work. 13-year-old Morgan Appelt is grateful for the help that she's received. She's a former NICU baby herself.
My dad actually asked me as I was making one, what do you think when you make these? And I said, I think that I'm making someone's most important thing. And I think that's an amazing thing to do.
I think it's just a great opportunity for these kids to work together and to provide service for each other. They get to see how the community not only is in need, but also supports them.
Well, almost all the material is going towards the blankets. The project also results in extra scraps of fabric. Morgan says those leftovers will be going to a family friend who fills dog beds for Montana animal shelters.